It was a chilly autumn morning when a young German shepherd named Max first met the boy who would become his entire world. Max was just a few months old, a playful puppy with soft fur and oversized paws that made him clumsy but endearing. The boy, Timmy, had always wanted a dog, and when his parents brought Max home, it was love at first sight. Max wagged his tail so hard it seemed like he might take off, and Timmy laughed with the pure joy only a child can muster. The two became inseparable, and the bond they shared was unbreakable. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. Timmy and Max did everything together. From long walks in the woods to late-night cuddles, Max was always by Timmy's side. When Timmy was happy, Max would prance around as if he could feel the same excitement coursing through him. When Timmy was sad, Max would lay his head on the boy's lap, his soulful eyes offering silent comfort. Max became a part of the family, but it was clear he was Timmy's dog, through and through. Their idyllic life continued for a few years until one fateful day that changed everything. Timmy's family received devastating news. They were moving across the country due to Timmy's father's new job. The small apartment they were moving into had a strict no pets policy. The decision was heartbreaking, but Timmy's parents assured him that they would find a good home for Max. Timmy was inconsolable, and Max seemed to sense that something was wrong. The morning they left, Timmy hugged Max tightly, tears streaming down his face. "I'll come back for you," he whispered into Max's ear. "I promise." Max wagged his tail faintly, his eyes filled with confusion as Timmy's family drove away, leaving him behind in the care of a kind but distant neighbor. The neighbor, Mr. Sanders, did his best to look after Max, but the once vibrant dog seemed to lose his spark. Max would sit by the window for hours, his ears perking up at the sound of approaching footsteps or cars, only to droop in disappointment when Timmy didn't appear. It was as if he was waiting, holding on to the hope that one day the boy he loved would return. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Max's life became a routine of meals, short walks, and long stretches of waiting by the window. But his spirit never wavered. Every time the door opened, Max's tail would wag expectantly. He didn't understand why Timmy was gone, but he believed with every fiber of his being that his boy would come back for him. 4 years passed. Timmy, now a teenager, had grown taller and leaner, his face more angular but still carrying the same gentle expression. Life in the new city had been an adjustment, and while he had made new friends and found new interests, a piece of his heart always ached for Max. He often dreamed about the dog, wondering if Max was happy, if he was being cared for, and if he still remembered the bond they had shared. One day, Timmy's family decided to visit their old town for a wedding. As soon as Timmy heard the news, he felt a flicker of hope. "Can we visit Max?" he asked his parents. His father hesitated before agreeing, though he warned Timmy not to get his hopes up. "It's been a long time," he said gently. "Dogs move on." But Timmy knew better. He hadn't forgotten Max, and he was certain Max hadn't forgotten him either. The day of the visit arrived, and as their car pulled into the familiar neighborhood, Timmy's heart raced. He recognized the house immediately, though it looked a little more worn than he remembered. He stepped out of the car and walked up the path, his palms sweaty with anticipation. He knocked on the door, and Mr. Sanders greeted him warmly. "Max is in the backyard," Mr. Sanders said with a smile. "He's been waiting for you." Timmy's legs felt like jelly as he walked to the backyard, and when he turned the corner, he saw him, Max, lying in the grass, his muzzle now peppered with gray. The dog looked up, and for a moment there was silence. Then, as if a dam had burst, Max sprang to his feet, his tail wagging furiously, barking in joyous disbelief. Timmy dropped to his knees, tears streaming down his face as Max barreled into him, nearly knocking him over. The dog licked his face, whined, and wagged his tail so hard it seemed as if it might fall off. The reunion was nothing short of magical. It was as if no time had passed. Their bond was as strong as ever. Timmy hugged Max tightly, whispering apologies and promises into his fur. Max didn't care about the apologies. All that mattered was that his boy was back. Timmy spent the entire day with Max, playing, cuddling, and reliving old memories. Mr. Sanders watched from a distance, wiping his eyes. "I've never seen him this happy," he said softly to Timmy's parents. "He's been waiting for this day." When it was time to leave, Timmy refused to say goodbye again. His parents, moved by the emotional reunion, decided to make an exception to the no pets rule and take Max home. The drive back was filled with laughter and tears as Max sat in the back seat with Timmy, his head resting on the boy's lap just as he had always done. Back in the city, Max quickly adapted to his new home. His graying fur and slower pace were reminders of the years they had lost, but his spirit was as vibrant as ever. Timmy and Max made up for lost time, creating new memories and strengthening their bond even further. Max lived out the rest of his days surrounded by love, his faith in Timmy never having wavered. When he passed away peacefully a few years later, Timmy held him close, whispering words of love and gratitude. Though the loss was devastating, Timmy took comfort in knowing he had kept his promise to his best friend. Max's unwavering loyalty and the joy of their reunion became a story Timmy would tell for the rest of his life. A testament to the unbreakable bond between a boy and his dog. Max's story didn't end with his passing. In many ways, it had just begun. For Timmy, the years with Max became a foundation of lessons about love, loyalty, and resilience. Though the loss of his beloved dog left a deep ache in his heart, it also planted the seeds of a profound realization, the value of unwavering faith and the beauty of promises kept. In the weeks after Max's passing, Timmy found himself revisiting their memories through old photos, videos, and the small, ordinary moments that once seemed unremarkable. The leash hanging by the door, the worn-out tennis ball Max had loved, and the faint scratches on the wooden floor where Max had played, all these things became sacred mementos of a bond that had transformed his life. Timmy began to understand that while Max was no longer physically with him, the love they had shared was eternal. It was a presence that lingered in every corner of his heart, urging him to live with the same devotion Max had always shown. Timmy's grief eventually became a call to action. Inspired by Max's unwavering loyalty, he decided to dedicate his time to helping other animals in need. He began volunteering at a local animal shelter, walking dogs, cleaning kennels, and assisting with adoptions. Each time he met a dog that reminded him of Max, a wagging tail, a pair of hopeful eyes, it felt like a small connection to his old friend. Through his work at the shelter, Timmy learned just how many animals longed for a bond like the one he and Max had shared, waiting for someone to notice them, to love them, and to give them a second chance. One day, while helping a family choose a dog to adopt, Timmy saw a young girl struggling to connect with the animals. She had been timid and unsure, but when a shy, scruffy mutt approached her, her face lit up with pure joy. The moment reminded Timmy of the first time he met Max, and he couldn't help but smile. He realized that Max's legacy was not just about the bond they shared, but about the ripple effect it had on others. Through his work, Timmy was helping to create new stories, new connections, and new beginnings for countless animals and people. Years later, Timmy would recount Max's tale to his own children. He'd sit with them in the living room, pulling out a scrapbook filled with photos of Max, his eyes glistening with both sorrow and gratitude. Max wasn't just a dog, he'd tell them. He was family. He taught me what it means to love someone unconditionally and to never give up on the ones you care about. As Timmy's children grew, they too came to appreciate the lessons Max had left behind. They helped their father at the shelter, carrying forward the compassion and dedication that Max had inspired. The family eventually adopted another dog, a playful Labrador mix named Charlie, who brought his own kind of joy into their lives. But no matter how many dogs came and went, Max's memory remained a golden thread woven through their lives. The neighborhood where Max had waited for Timmy also remembered him. Mr. Sanders, who had cared for Max in Timmy's absence, often told Max's story to neighbors and friends. "That dog never lost hope," he'd say with a wistful smile. "He taught me more about patience and love than I ever thought possible." Over time, Max became something of a legend in the area, a symbol of faith and devotion that resonated with everyone who heard his story. Max's waiting wasn't just a testament to his love for Timmy. It became a universal reminder of what it means to hold on to hope, even when the odds seem insurmountable. His life, though finite, left an impact that was infinite, rippling outward to touch lives far beyond his own. Timmy, now a man, would occasionally sit in the quiet of his home and close his eyes, imagining Max beside him, resting his head on his lap. In those moments, he felt the weight of Max's love as strongly as he had that day in the backyard when they reunited. It was a love that transcended time, a bond that no distance or years apart could ever diminish. Max had waited, not because he had to, but because he believed. That belief, that steadfast hope, became a gift Timmy carried with him for the rest of his life, a gift he shared with the world, ensuring Max's legacy would never fade. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on the dog waiting 4 years for its owner? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.